everyone. Hope you can all listen me well and are doing well in wherever you are. Today's topic is about strategy for transitioning to risk management. So this is an area that I have been thinking about. Wrote a post also, and I had been receiving a lot of queries from the people who had been asking that how easy or how difficult it is to get into risk management. I had been explaining it in quite detail that what they ideally should be expecting from risk management, but I thought that maybe I should talk about this very important session. So basically, we will be focusing on risk management, but this session would particularly be applicable to other objectives also. So if you don't want to get into risk management, if you do want to get into some other department, or if you like to change your job, then this session, and we will probably have another session on personal branding on either Saturday or Sunday. I will communicate it to you people. So this is largely a two episodes sort of thing. So we'll be covering the broader part today, and one part of it, that is the personal branding for risk professionals, will be covered in another session, which will be on either Saturday or Sunday. To start with, my name is Mohammad Uwais Siddiqui, as you may aware, and I'm the founder of Mastering FRM, which is a preparation provider for FRM certification offered by Global Association of Risk Professionals. Before wasting further time, let me share my screen and let's start the session. So, a strategy for transitioning to risk management. There's this quote which says that to understand how great a person is, look not at what he has already achieved, but at what more he aspires to do. So basically, I conducted a training in one of the uh, very well five-star hotel in Karachi last month, and then I posted it on the social media. And one of my friends who knew my ambitions, who knew what I wanted to be, and who knew that I am always more inclined towards training and teaching and imparting education. He commented that you should be proud that you have already achieved your objective or your aim. uh, and I, and I wrote there. I think there's a mic. Someone's mic is unmute. So if you could just mute it. Anyway, so I replied to him that yes, you're right, but this is just a beginning. It's not like that I have achieved what I had to do. It's just a beginning. It's just the first step. So basically, it doesn't matter what you have already achieved, but what more you aspire to do. What is something that you really want to do. So even if you have achieved a lot of things, there's always a potential of getting more things, achieving more things. So this is what we should all aspire to be. This is a quote by Khalil Gibran. So before I move towards the risk management side, before I start discussing what risk management is, what do you expect from risk management, what are the certification, let me just briefly discuss the concept of ultimate vision. I'm sure that it must have just abrupt for you, and you didn't see it coming. But this is something that I really admire, and I'm really passionate about this particular topic, because this is a topic that actually drives all sort of topics. So if you're not clear about your ultimate vision or the thing that you want to achieve in the long term, then you won't probably be able to achieve a lot. So the concept of ultimate vision is basically something that you want to achieve in the long run. Okay, so a vision is something that is independent of time. It is something that you want to do, or it's basically the legacy you want to leave behind. Okay, so let me give you an example. The vision of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam uh, was to spread Islam globally. Okay, so he worked on his vision. Obviously, his vision was derived from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. That's a different thing altogether. But just look at the legacy he has left behind. Around 2.5 billion of Muslims are still his followers. Okay, if you talk about, let's say, I give example of Imam Bukhari, what sort of legacy he has left behind. No, none of the Islamic sermons can be completed without the mention of Imam Bukhari. So his lifespan was not that long, but the work that he did in that particular time is something that is going to be used, I think, till Qiyamah. So what sort of, and you know what sort of reward he would be getting for the things that he did. Let me talk about current example. Let's take an example of Dr. Abdul Bari. If you don't know him, he is the founder of Indus Hospital. So he was a public service doctor. He used to work in civil hospital, and he had this vision of building a hospital which will be, better than the best hospitals in Karachi, better than Aga Khan, bigger than Aga Khan. When he had a salary of around like what 30,000, and today in a span of around 15 years, we can see Indus Hospital, which has around 10,000 of employees and millions of patients have benefit from his organization. So this is what visions are. I'm just giving you examples so you can have an idea what vision is. Okay, so this is a vision. This is the brief definition of vision. Then a vision has three broad categories: attainability, lucidity, and concreteness. Okay, so attainability is what is the possibility of achieving your vision within the resources that can be made available. So we don't have to rely on our current resources. You want to go into risk management and do something big. What if you don't have a certification? You can always get that. Okay, so what if you don't have the resources, the financial resources to do that? You can definitely get financial resources as well. Okay, so you set your vision based on the resources that can be made available. Then lucidity, the articulation. How clear are you about your vision? What are the things that you want to do? What sort of clarity that you have? You should have a clarity about it. All of the visions that I have just told you about, they had utmost clarity about what they wanted to do. And the concreteness, what do you able to quantify your vision? Okay, so basically, let's say Indus Hospital actually defined that they wanted to reach a number of patients in a particular area. They wanted to reach, for example, 10 geographies, 10 locations in a particular time. So it should be concrete, it should be quantifiable. So this is what ultimate vision is. So ultimate vision is something, it's a very vast topic altogether. पूरी 3 दिन की इसमें जो है वो workshops होती है. So I have been attending it. So I'm just trying to briefly explain what it actually is. So in short, it is basically the legacy that you want to leave behind. Then from ultimate vision, there comes intermediate vision. So intermediate vision is basically a sub portion of your ultimate vision. So for example, Dr. Abdul Bari's example, when he wanted to build the largest free hospital in Pakistan, the intermediate vision was to complete an MBBS degree. Okay, so intermediate vision is something that takes you closer to your ultimate vision. So for example, if you want to get into an organization and work towards building it and take it towards sustainability through risk management practices, your intermediate vision may be to complete a certification that will land you a job in risk management. Okay, so this is what intermediate vision is. Then a very important concept is what these visions are in different role, in all sort of roles that you have. So the concept of role is that we consider two of our roles as the biggest: family and career. These are the two things that we usually give time to. Okay, so most of our time is spent on our career and then with our family. But we have other responsibility. We have responsibilities as a citizen. We have responsibility as an ummati. We have responsibility as a student. If you are studying something, we have responsibility as a father, as a son, and career is also a part of it. So basically, we should know that there's a role of self. Okay, so what am I doing with my own self? Am I taking care of my health? Am I taking care of my physical requirements? Am I doing exercise and all those sorts of things? Okay, so there are different vision in different role. Let's not go into that detail. What's the point of telling this? That with every role, one of the critical vision is your career vision, where you want to pursue your career because it's aligned with your vision. So whenever someone asks me whether they should drive risk management or not, I reply them that if if joining risk management lead to a career vision, then you should be joining it. Okay, so if you're not clear about your career vision, that's fine. This is something that you can work on. This is something that you can do research on. This is something that you can read about. Okay, I know a lot of people who had been working for a very long time, but they never had this thought. Okay, so this is an unconventional thing, and I'm really sorry if you didn't expect this today, but I really want to touch base this very briefly, and then we'll come up with our main topic. Okay, so you should actually be setting your career vision as earlier as you possible, and if that career vision has something for risk management, then you should definitely opt for risk management. For example, my career vision is basically is assisting entities, individuals, corporates, countries in attaining financial and economic sustainability for greater sustainability growth by means of adopting uh, sophisticated risk management practices. Okay, so for me, risk management is something that is linked to a higher objective. And I'm doing this because I have been feeling that as an ummah, we had been this problem of financial and economic stability. If we cannot be financially and economic independent, we cannot take our decisions at all levels, at individual level, at a corporate level, at a country level. So this is my vision. I just thought to give a brief introduction. What is risk management? Okay, so where risk management or risk managers are required. So first one is consulting firms. Okay, you must have heard of big firms like EY, KPMG, PwC, Deloitte, McKinsey, GT. So these are the firms where risk managers are actually required. They work. What they do, they assist companies, mostly companies, but also governments, to implement risk management regulations and practices. Okay, so I had been working with a consulting firm with the PwC for a very long time, where I actually implemented Basel 2 guidelines, Basel 3 guidelines, which were actually related to risk management. So the first is consulting firms. Then we have banks, both Islamic banks and conventional banks, where people work. So these banks have different departments. It's something that we will just cover later on. But risk managers are actually working in banks. There is a different group now with the name of risk management group, both in Islamic and conventional banks. Then they work in insurance sector, both in takaful and conventional. In Pakistan, the risk management guidelines are there. So there are now separate enterprise risk management departments where people work. And SECP is actually moving towards risk-based capitalization. Okay, so they are adopting a standard. It's called solvency internationally. So they are just taking steps to adopt it. So insurance has limited requirement of risk management now, but as soon as they adopt that standard, which is going to be next 1 or 2 years, hopefully, the demand for risk managers will grow huge. Like it's going to grow huge. I know that insurance sector did not have a separate risk management department until I think 1 or 2 years back, but they have a department now. They have dedicated risk management resources, but the size isn't that huge. But it's going to be huge once they start implementing solvency. Then in the mutual funds, both Islamic and conventional, again, they have risk management departments who are responsible of managing the risk. In the mutual funds, it's more about market risk, so it's confined to market and operational and other risks. In case of banks, it's mostly the credit risk, like the major ones. So there's this difference. Then I've heard that multinational companies, the likes of Unilever and Nestle and all, they have also initiated development of a risk management department. They call it enterprise risk management. Also, the oil and gas sector has an ERM department. So they have enterprise risk management department in there. They are working on it. They do all sort of things. They develop process flows, they implement controls, and they try to manage your risk. So MNCs and corporates is also it's the same thing, but MNCs is global level, but corporates like lower corporates, I mean SME and mid-level corporates are also working towards risk management implementation. Okay, so this is the scope that we have for risk management. Now, the let's talk about risk management departments. Okay, so basically, if you talk about risk management departments in, let's say, banks, let's focus on bank. It has the most it's the most required or most it's the organization with the most sophisticated risk management structure. अभी सबसे ज़्यादा risk management banks में ही high है, तो उसमें सबसे ज़्यादा होता है credit, market risk and operational risk. So these are separate departments. So let's say in the credit risk there will be separate teams, in the market risk there will be separate team, under operational risk there will be separate teams. Then there will be a department for ICAP and Pillar 2. These pillar credit market operation risk comes under the Pillar 1 of Basel 2. Okay. Then Pillar 2 is ICAP, Internal Capital Adequacy Assessment Program. This is what we call as ICAP. Then we have capital calculation, which is Pillar 3. Pillar 3, in some banks, it is under finance. So the people in finance do that. In some banks, it's under the risk management. So that depends. Okay, but it's an interchangeable thing. So in some of the banks, finance people are doing it. In some of the banks, risk management people are doing it. Then we have a department of quantitative modeling. Quantitative modeling, basically, you can name it differently. For example, in some of the department, it will be modeling, analytics, and controls. Let's say in some, you may name it, but this is a department that is involved in building sophisticated statistical models. Okay, so they would assess all the credit risk, the market risk, the operation risk, all of these department whenever there comes a requirement of quantitative modeling. By quantitative modeling, I mean statistical modeling, where statistics is required. Statistics is used to develop advanced model. Okay, so since these are the people who with very specific quantitative background, they are usually kept in a separate department where they assess all of the other departments. Okay, then we have IT and data warehousing. So IT is something that is growing like crazy globally. Because of the threats like cybersecurity is growing huge as uh, the more we are going online, all sort of online risks are increasing. I was just reading this quote that there are two type of companies, one that has been hacked and one that is going to be hacked. Okay, so you have to have controls in all sort of places. So IT and data warehousing is increasing day by day. Then there's data science and analytics. You have heard of big data, you have heard of AI. So that is coming in. These are the people who take the data and who use multiple techniques to come up with different models, with different calculations, with different with different sort of techniques to minimize the fraud risk. For example, you do some data analytics and you come up with indicators that will trigger any sort of fraud in advance. Okay, so that's one example of doing it. So these are the major risk management departments that we have, and all of these departments require different set of backgrounds. Okay, so let me just tell you what sort of background we will look into. So, preferred qualification that goes into the first one that I graduated in actuarial science risk management, the department. This degree was non-existing in Pakistan mostly until I think in 2007, 2006. So I started my bachelor's in 2006. That's when we started to getting into market. But whenever now you see an advertisement for any of the risk management job, you will find actuarial science risk management written there. So these are the people who basically study all sort of things. They study economics, they study finance, they study statistics, advanced statistics, they study risk management courses, they study time series, they study applied statistics. Okay, so they study all those sort of things, and these are the people who will be employed in this quantitative modeling department, in the credit risk department, in the market risk department. So these are the people, even in data science and analytics. So these are the people who will be employed in one of these departments because of their skills in data control, in quantitative modeling, all sorts of things. Then we have CAs and ACCs. A lot of people from chartered accountancy background are working in risk management. So they work in credit risk, for example, but on the policy side. So, for example, credit risk, you will have different departments. There will be a CAD department who will be, more of documentation. You will have a credit policy, which will be, which will be monitoring the limits, which will be doing all policy sort of work. Then there will be a credit quantification department, which would go live. In some banks, you will have it will come under quantitative modeling, and in some banks it will be a part of credit risk. Okay, so they will be doing probability of default modeling, LGD modeling. Okay, so this is there any question there? There's someone with mic unmute. If you could just mute it, that would be, or let me mute it. Okay, all right. So all right, so basically CAs and ACCs do that. Then so they are into operational risk, they are into credit risk, more into policy part. They are in the capital calculation, by the way, the pillar 3. Mostly seen by CAs and ACCs, but because it's a merger of risk management and finance. Okay, they are into data, and CAs and ACCs are the people who actually exist almost everywhere. So these are the people who can join any of the departments, not the quantitative side mostly, but if they can hone in their quantitative skills, then they can adjust there as well. Then we have BS or MS economics or finance or financial economics or financial econometrics or financial engineering. So these are or even data scientists, or even applied mathematics. So there are these sort of degrees which is equivalent or related to actuarial science and risk management with different names. So these are the degrees, these are the qualifications that people do to get into risk management. And of course, we have CFAs and FRMs working in risk management domain. There are some other certifications also. For example, there are certification in operational risk, dedicated certification. There is a certification called PRM, professional risk management. There is a certification called CISA. I cannot recall its full name, but it's related to IT risk. Okay, so you have these sort of certifications that you can do, that people do to join in risk management. Obviously, there is always this combination. Most of the people who are, for example, actuarial science, or they are CAs and ACCAs, if they get into risk management, they usually pursue FRM certification. Or if they had already had CFA, I know a lot of people who have done both CFA and FRM. So these are different combinations that people use. But one thing is, the broad distribution is quantitative discipline and non-quantitative discipline. So if you are into quantitative discipline, if you have degree in actuarial science and financial engineering or advanced statistics or applied mathematics, that you can go into data modeling, you can go into statistical modeling and do advanced thing. But if you have other certifications, then obviously you will be more targeted towards managing operational risk or internal controls, or let's say the policy side of credit and market risk, or even the capital adequacy ratio calculation, or even the pillar 2 ICAP is more of qualitative. So CAs and CCAs are employed there as well. Okay, so this is where you can join in risk management departments, and this is preferred qualification. So I'm assuming most of you are professionals, so you already have a base degree. What you can do is you can find a combination that would allow you to give you an edge. So you can have maybe you are an ACCA, and if you are willing to join the risk management, you may pursue FRM. Okay, so that would give you an edge. So if you already have for example, BS Finance, and you want to get into risk management, FRM would give you an edge. Maybe you consider, for example, you have a BBA, maybe you consider doing an MS Economics, so that would, or MS Financial Econometrics, so that would give you an edge. So this is the risk management department, and these are the preferred qualification. If you have any question, you can let me know, and then we will move on to our next session, which is networking. So any questions until yet? You may write it or you can just unmute yourself and ask it. पूछ लें प्लीज, कुछ पूछ लें. लेकिन आप सवाल नहीं पूछते ना. मैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स को एक होता है, दो मतलब होता है कि या तो मैंने सब कुछ बहुत अच्छा बता दिया या आपको कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया है. तो हमेशा मैं समझता ही हूँ कि मैंने बहुत अच्छा बताया है. But I always had this feeling that maybe I didn't explain things well. Okay, all right. So if everything is clear, let's just move on to our next discussion, which is networking. So we'll try to keep it short. I think we will be winding up in next 15 or 20 minutes maybe. This was relatively a shorter session as compared to our usual sessions. But let's discuss the networking. So whenever you have to make a career switch, okay. So it usually comes from people who you already know, okay. So I had my mentors who was Bashir Sayyed, who was one of the only few Pakistanis who worked in NASA. So he was a 1954 Fulbright scholar. He went into US in 1954 and then worked in NASA. He passed away around 2 years back. So I had an email conversation with him once where he shared his wisdom, a lot of it. But one of the things that he mentioned, and I keep putting it to my students and all of my trainees, that in today's world it doesn't matter. He said that whereas in today's world it doesn't matter what you know, but who you know. Okay, and then he shared his story that his professor in DJ Science College, where he was a student, actually encouraged him to be, and actually referred him to become a professor. He was one of the youngest professor in DJ Science College. The same professor encouraged him to apply for Fulbright scholar, and he didn't just encourage; he actually wrote to the US university, and after that he actually got into one of the universities in the US. Then he worked with two Nobel laureates there. Then those Nobel laureates actually recommended him into NASA. So he was a strong and ardent believer that it was the people who actually led him to where he could, and he actually worked in statistics and in NASA. So he had conducted a lot of researches then how people going into NASA into space, can die earlier because of the impact on their body. So he sort of merged medical science with a lot of statistics. So his work was very well recognized. Anyway, he had an amazing story. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless his soul. But this is a learning that I keep sharing. And in today's world, obviously, it all depends who you know. I understand that obviously there should be a subject, substance in you. You should know your thing, and then you have to know other people. Okay, so you don't know anything about risk management, and you know thousands of people working in risk management. It's not going to work. So the first thing that you should know what risk management is. You should have the credentials. You should have the certifications, and then these people who know you or who you know can help you, can assist you in getting into what you are trying to get. Okay, so now let's discuss how you can do networking. Okay, so the first, broadly, there are two ways of networking. First is online and the other was is offline. Okay, so let's talk about what are the major resources you have. First one is alumni of universities, corporate certifications. Okay, so if you have, let's say, 5 years of experience, you have had a degree. Okay, so if you are from a CACC background, you must have had studied in some of the institutions. So you must have had people who must be working in the risk management. Okay, so if you work in let's say two corporates initially, two banks, let's say, you must have had ex-colleagues who you did not get touch into. Okay, if you had certifications, for example, if you are an FRM, then you have fellow FRMs who are there. So the first thing that you need to network with is to revive these connections. Okay, so what happens is that you are connected on LinkedIn, you are connected on Facebook, you send WhatsApp message, but you never talk. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to find out who are the people who are actually working in risk management. Okay, make a list of the people who had been working with you, and the people who you know are now in good position in risk management, and then you start taking conversation. You start talking to them. Just don't tell them that you want to get a job in risk management. Please don't do that straight away. But try getting a feel about risk management. Start having discussions. What is risk management? What are the areas that they're working? And once you get comfortable with, then start asking that you are trying to get into risk management. What are the things that you can do? Don't say that you want to join their organization. It just turns people off. And it's just work that way. But tell them, ask them what is that thing that you can do about it. I had a very interesting interaction a couple of months back. I am a graduate of University of Karachi, so I keep getting queries from the current students. So I got this query from one of the current students who was in her final year, and she said that if I can recommend her if two to three people who are working in finance. Okay, and she was very clear that she wants to meet them and she wants to ask some question about their field. And she specifically wrote that, listen, I won't be asking about job, I won't be asking about some sort of referral. I just want to have a very candid discussion about what sort of career prospects that I can have. So I got her connected with a couple of people who are working in the finance. She met them, and obviously she had a word with them, and she got what she wanted. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Just make a call, drop a LinkedIn message, drop a WhatsApp message, and have a discussion. What sort of things that are required in the risk management certificate? What are the things that can be done? And start with your alumni, with your ex friends, with your ex colleagues, with your ex certification fellow. These are the people who had been growing up with you, and they will be most considerate in your request. Then the second thing is attending events. This is something that is actually not much available due to COVID-19. So we are not having physical classes, we are not having physical seminars, we are not having conferences and trainings. But once these things start going and attending it, even if you have to pay some amount. And when you go there, try talking to people. Okay, try to make connections, try to have conversations with them, and try to stay in touch after that happens. Okay, so share your number, take their numbers. So don't just restrict yourself on the LinkedIn or email. Share and share your numbers and keep themselves connected. So attending physical events is probably the best way of networking. What I have been seeing doing, what people have been doing, they attend classes, they attend seminars, but they don't make connections. So they will go there, they will just sit at a table. Let's say they would hardly talk to a couple of people. That's not the way of doing it. When you go into a conference, you have to meet people. So I was attending this. We launched a product recently with Pakistan Stock Exchange, when we attended this seminar. It was a huge seminar. So I found this lady. She was doing interesting thing. Also, what she did when there was this break in the session, she had her business card, and she started going to table after table. She strike a conversation. It's not like that, she had a good way of doing it. So she strike a conversation. What do we do? What are our interests? Where do we work? And then she would hand over their business card. And in business etiquette, if you are giving somewhere business card, the other person would obviously give you a card back. Okay, so that's how things work. So she was dealing it very well, and people were very creative about it. So basically, in that particular event, she would have easily made around 50 connections. Okay, I don't know if followed up or not, because that's you need to do. But I'm pretty sure that it was a good approach. So this is something to try. Then the last thing, this person running an online thing, is you have to have an online presence. Okay, so it's just not like that you have made a LinkedIn profile and you are just seeing people, you are just liking their post. You have to have work on your personal brand. So whatever you are doing, whatever certification you are pursuing, whatever articles you are reading on risk management, whatever conversation you are having with your corporate or ex-colleagues, just start posting it online. When you will start doing it, start sharing the stories, people in your circle will know that you are getting into risk management. Okay, so connect to the people who are already working in the risk management. They will see your activity, they will see their interest in risk management, they will see that you are attending events in risk management, they will see that you are having conversation with the people in risk management, they will see that you are actually reading articles, you are posting, you are continuing with a certification, and it will just subconsciously build the concept that you really want to get into risk management. Okay, so this is what personal branding is, and this is something that we will discuss in our next session, hopefully on Saturday or Sunday. But start building your personal brand and start using it for your own good, and that is how you can actually get into your desired field. So basically, these are the things that I just talk about, and I just line it up as a strategy. So first thing is you need to get clarity on why you want to join risk management, okay, and how it is linked with your long-term goal. If you haven't find it, start finding it, okay. Start reading on it, start reading material, what risk management is about. For me, why I want to pursue risk management, because risk management is all about sustainability of an organization. Okay, so we keep capital adequacy ratio, let's say 15%. This is where the going concern lies. Okay, so even if the banks go into losses, let's say in the COVID-19, they will have a buffer, so they can bear easily around 5 of their risk. Okay, so this is about sustainability, this is about the growth. So whenever you are sustainable, you can grow. You must have heard of an organization that went irrelevant or bankrupt 19. This is largely because they did not have enough cushions available, they did not build reserves, they did not build equity. Okay, they did not have cash flow management, they did not have liquidity management, so they lacked all those sort of things, which ultimately led to led to bankruptcy. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is identify the area and department you want to join. So I explained it in detail what sort of areas that you can go into. So for example, if you have a quantitative degree, then you may target the quantitative department, the modeling side. If you have a degree and or certification in CACCA, you may have for operational risk. But these are different departments, different field altogether. Okay, so if you will have clarity, you will be able to target those people, you will be able to target those articles, you will be able to target those sort of certifications. Okay, FRM is such a certification which all covers almost all of the things. That's a good thing about FRM. But other certification, for example, is you wanted to, if you have a background in IT, then maybe CISA would be more relevant to you. So decide what sort of area or department you want to join, then decide the certification that is relevant to you. Okay, so once you identify your area, identify certification, whether you need one, maybe you already have all the certifications available, so you may not require an additional certification. But if you need one, then decide what sort of certification you have to do to make or to increase your chances about entering into risk management. Then start networking both online and offline within the organization. So one thing is that I keep saying that the transition in career from one department to other department mostly happen within organization. So if you are working, for example, in internal audit department, or it would be way easier to move into risk management department in the same organization. But for that you will have to have a strong internal networking. So अगर आपकी रिस्क मैनेजमेंट वाले बॉस से अच्छी है और आपने उसे 2 साल से घेरा हुआ, आप उससे बात करते रहते हो, आपको पता है कि आप एफआरएम भी कर रहे हो, ये भी कर रहे हो, वो भी कर रहे हो, और आप उसे किसी तरह एग्री करवा लेते हो कि वो जो है वो आपको उठा ले, तो जब भी कोई इंटरनल प्लेसमेंट आएगी, you will see on your portal and you will just call him and say that boss मुझे बुला ले. I have seen this happening. Okay, so if that guy is strong enough, that he would he would assist you in getting you there. तो इंटरनल प्लेसमेंट्स का बड़ा बड़ा काम है ट्रांजिशनिंग में. So networking is a key कि कितनी अच्छी आपने उन लोगों से बनाई भी है, then अपने बॉस से भी आपने बनाई भी हो ताकि वो आपको जाने दें, ठीक है, तो वो वाला अच्छा है, लेकिन आपके बॉस पे आपने जाने देना तो that would also be a trouble. Then last but not least, this is something that we will discuss in our next session in significant detail. But work on your personal brand and show the world what you have got. Okay, so it is a full strategy. हम अगले session में से पूरा detail में cover करेंगे. But you'll have to work on your personal brand. You will have to merge all these things into your personal branding, and only then you will be able to get into what you really want. So thank you so much. I think this is it. This was a short session